All right, let's unpack this. You're tuning into the deep dive, and if you're anything like us, you're probably still reeling from the sheer drama that was week 3 of the Serie A season. This wasn't just another round of fixtures, was it? This felt like a seismic shift, really shaking up the early standings, and wow, giving us so many talking points. We're talking everything from, thrilling, goal-laden spectacles to those incredibly tight tactical battles that kept us guessing right to the end.
Precisely. And our mission today really is to go beyond just the score lines. We're here to dig into those crucial nuggets of insight from these matches. What do they actually mean for the rest of the season? Because this week, maybe more than others early on, it really reminded us that in Italian football, nothing, absolutely nothing can be taken for granted. We saw some incredible individual brilliance, sure, but also that deep strategic element that Serie A is famous for.
And it wasn't just the results, right? It was the way they happened. A total roller coaster of emotions, tactical shifts, moments of, well, genius, frankly, that are definitely going to leave a lasting impression. So settle in, because we're about to get into the most important insights from a round that's absolutely going to shape the narrative for weeks, maybe even months.
Right, so when we think back to week 3, there's no doubt about the main event, the one fixture everyone was watching, Juventus versus Inter. Billed as a massive showdown, and boy did it deliver. A thrilling 7-goal spectacle, ending 4-3 to Juventus. But looking back now, that 4-3 scoreline, it only tells like a fraction of the story, doesn't it? The back-and-forth intensity was just immense, felt like a real tug-of-war.
It absolutely did. And what was really fascinating about Juve's performance, especially later on, was how they found that late winner. Despite Inter showing real resilience, Juventus just kept going. And for me, it wasn't just about some vague championship mentality. It was more concrete. You saw Allegri's tactical tweaks in the second half, pushing the wingbacks higher, bringing on fresh legs in midfield. That allowed them to sustain this suffocating pressure. Yes, the finishing was clinical, but it came from dominating territory, from exploiting tired defenders. That Vlahovic goal, for instance, it wasn't just skill. It was clever movement anticipating that mistake. It was built up.
That's a great point about the tactical shifts within the game itself. Okay, so on Inter's side then, losing to your biggest rivals, especially after scoring 3 goals yourself, that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. But those 3 goals, do they show, a consistent attacking threat? Or were they maybe just capitalizing on Juve's own defensive gaps as they push forward?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both, actually. Inter's attacking potential is clear. Their speed on the counter, often led by Martinez and Thuram, it was a constant danger. They turned defense into attack so quickly. But the way Juventus scored their goals does highlight that even with Inter's firepower, their defensive structure, especially in transition, can be got at. They conceded some goals you felt were preventable. Suggests that while they can score, finding that consistent defensive solidity against the very top teams is still maybe the puzzle Inzaghi needs to solve. This game really exposed that fine line both teams are walking brilliant attack, but sometimes fragile at the back.
Right. So if the title race is going to be this high stakes, almost sprint like thing, like you said, the Napoli certainly threw down the gauntlet this week. That 3-1 win away at Fiorentina at the Artemio Franchi, that's never easy. It felt like a really significant statement.
Without a doubt. That result doesn't just reinforce their status as a major contender, it showed how they plan to contend. Their midfield, with Lobotka pulling the strings deep, masterful. He just controlled the tempo, his passing, his ability to break up Fiorentina's play through the middle, that was key. And that foundation allowed Napoli's fullbacks to bomb for it, create overloads on the wings, which Fiorentina really struggled with. Then up front, Osimhen particularly, just incredibly efficient, ruthless finishing. That's what defines a championship-level team. It was, a masterclass in controlled aggression. A really well-oiled machine.
Okay, so from Fiorentina's side, this was a clear setback. They did create chances, didn't they? But couldn't take them. So would you say it exposed more fundamental defensive issues, or was it mainly about lacking that clinical edge that Napoli showed?
I'd lean towards both being factors, but the lack of clinical edge really stood out. Fiorentina under Italiano, they always want to play attractive football, keep the ball, and they did get into good areas. But against a team like Napoli, you have to convert those moments. Their final pass was sometimes missing, or the composure in front of goal wasn't there. Defensively, they were stretched by Napoli's movement, but some goals also came from individual errors, not tracking runs, not closing down quickly enough near the box. It was a harsh lesson in those fine margins. They had moments, definitely, but just lacked that killer quality that separates the very top teams.
Now, from a team making a big statement to, well, probably the round's biggest shock, Roma, that 0-0 defeat at home to Torino. Wow. Given all the talk about Roma challenging for the top four, this result really sent some ripples out, didn't it?
Ah.
How do we even begin to explain that kind of misstep at the Olimpico?
Yeah, that really was a harsh reality check for Mourinho's side. What you saw was an attack that just looked, well, static. Predictable, even. Roma often rely on those moments of individual magic, maybe from Dybala, or powerful runs from the wingbacks. But against Torino's incredibly disciplined, compact 3-5-2 under Juric, those options were just shut down consistently. Torino's midfield pressed hard, blocked the central lanes, and their back three just held a deep, solid line. Roma struggled to get wide, their wingers kept drifting inside, and without a really dynamic striker making clever runs, Torino found it relatively easy to defend crosses and block those central passes. It definitely raises some tactical questions for Roma when they face these deep, organized defenses.
Right. So on the flip side, you've got to give huge credit to Torino. A massive win for them. Built, it sounds like, on just pure defensive discipline. But it wasn't only about stopping Roma, was it? They still managed to find that crucial goal.
Absolutely. Torino's win was like a textbook example of discipline and hard work paying off. They executed their game plan perfectly. Frustrated Roma made them force things, and then critically, they took their chance when it came. And the goal wasn't just luck or opportunistic, it came directly from their approach. They won the ball back deep with that aggressive press, transitioned fast, and caught Roma's defense a bit off guard. It just proves that sometimes tactical rigidity and sheer collective effort can overcome a squad with perhaps more individual stars, especially if that talent isn't clicking together. Simplicity and execution beat complexity without cohesion sometimes.
Okay, let's shift focus again. A team that maybe had a slightly slower start than expected, but then just roared back to life and reminded everyone of their firepower. Atalanta. That 4-1 thrashing of Lecce felt like a real statement, we're still here kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. This was classic Atalanta, back to their scintillating best. Gasparini's system, it's high-octane fluid. It just overwhelms teams with pressure, movement, players swapping positions constantly. Against Lecce, they moved the ball with incredible speed and intelligence. You saw players like Koop Miners, Lookman, not just scoring, but making those smart runs, dragging defenders, creating space, just relentless. And the thing about Atalanta is they can score from anywhere. Open play, fast breaks, set pieces, multiple sources of threat. Honestly, the 4-1 might have even flattered Lecce a bit.
Yeah, it must have felt like a real baptism of fire for Lecce being newly promoted. Just completely outmatched by the intensity, the quality.
Totally. A tough lesson for them, really highlighting the jump from Serie B. They just couldn't cope with Atalanta's press, the sheer number of players flooding forward. They showed some fight, sure, but maybe that lack of experience, that tactical cohesion at this top level, it was exposed. Still, it's a learning curve, isn't it? They'll need to adapt fast to this pace if they want to stay up.
Right. And beyond these big headline games, the rest of the league, the sort of smaller fixtures, they also gave us a mix of really tight wins and some frustrating draws. For a deep dive like this, it's important we look at those too, because they really show the competitive balance Serie A's known for, right?
Absolutely crucial. Take Sassuolo beating Lazio 1-0. That wasn't just 3 points. It showed real improvement in their defensive organization under the new coach. Locking down a strong attacking team like Lazio, that shows tactical growth. Then you had Milan grinding out that 1-0 win over Bologna. Not spectacular, maybe, but it shows that vital championship quality. Winning ugly, getting the points, even when you're not firing on all cylinders. Defensive grit. And Cagliari's 2-0 win against Parma that was intense, hard-fought, the crowd really pushing them. None of these points came easy. It just underlines how demanding every single match is.
And we shouldn't forget the draws either. Hellas Verona and Cremonese, 0-0. Como and Genoa, 1-1. What do results like those tell us about the league's overall health, maybe?
Those draws, I think, speak volumes about the balance right through Serie A. They just reinforce that there are genuinely no easy games. Every single team can fight, can make it difficult, can take points off anyone. And for teams maybe worried about the bottom end, every single point from these kinds of games could be the difference between staying up and going down come May. They might not grab the headlines like Juventus, but these are tough, hard-fought tactical battles. They really show the league's depth and unpredictability. Consistent performance, even in these less glamorous games, is just so important.
Phew, what a whirlwind week 3 of Serie A was. So many emotions, so many tactical shifts. It really felt like every match told its own story, didn't it? All contributing to this incredibly rich, complex narrative for the season.
Definitely. It's clear the top teams were really tested, pushed hard. The underdogs, well, they showed their teeth, proved they can cause these massive upsets. And the whole landscape of the league just feels even more intriguing now. This season looks like it's going to be a proper test of endurance, skill, nerve, with surprises probably waiting around every single corner. The tactical battles will just keep evolving. It's fantastic to watch.
Absolutely. That unpredictability, that edge of your seat feeling, that's what keeps us glued to Serie A. We've seen some huge statements this week, some good, some maybe worrying for the teams involved. So what does it all really mean going forward? Which of these early signs will actually stick? Which were just, fleeting moments in a long season. You'll just have to keep watching with us to see how this incredible season unfolds, how these teams adapt. What do you think will be the biggest lasting impact from this round? We'll be watching right alongside you.